Welcome to the Accelerando Metronomo tutorial video. This app for iPhone and iPad will accelerate it from one tempo to the other. Tempo A is the start tempo, tempo B is the destination tempo. I'm going to start by tapping in tempo A however fast I want, kind of slow. Tap, 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 tap. So that's about 90 beats a minute. And my destination tempo, tap, 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 200 beats a minute. Or I can use the sliders. I'm going to set tempo B to maximum, which is 600 beats a minute. And I'm going to press play. So it started at 90 beats a minute. It just changed to 91 beats a minute. As you can see, it says right there it's accelerating. Oh, it's 92 beats a minute now. It'll keep speeding up until it reaches tempo B, which is 600 beats a minute. Down in the bottom corner here is the slope control. If this is happening too slowly, you can change the slope control value. I'll turn it over to the right. Now the numbers are changing quite a bit faster. 112, 113. That's the speed in beats per minute. If that's changing too fast, I can change the slope control again. I set it to about 9 minutes. If you want to stop and take a break, you can just press stop. And if you want to start up again, it starts at the same tempo it was when you stopped. And it just keeps going. If you want it to stop at this tempo, or keep going but not accelerating, press the pause button. And the tempo will stay steady. Right now it's 152, it'll stay that way. And press this button again, which now looks like an arrow pointing to a letter B. That will tell it to start accelerating towards tempo B again. There we go. Now it's accelerating again. Let's say you want to jump ahead manually. You can just press the plus button, plus tempo. Press it a couple times, 170, 180, 190. I can tell it to stay steady at that tempo if I want to. Press minus a couple times, now it's at 170. So let's suppose you're accelerating all the way to 600. I'm going to turn up the slopes to make this happen faster for the demo tutorial. Now it's changing very quickly. As soon as it gets to the tempo B, there's an applause that you will hear, and it says reached end tempo. So if you heard the applause, that's just to tell you, in case you're not looking at the metronome, you can tell that you made it all the way to the end tempo, tempo B. By the way, the slope control, not sure if I said this already, when you adjust it, it gives you a readout of how long it will take to go from tempo A to tempo B. Right now it says 19 minutes. You can change that to 131 minutes or whatever that says. If you want to jump immediately to the tempo A or tempo B, you just press the arrow key, arrow button above the tempo. So now I'm going to jump to tempo B by pressing that arrow. I'll jump back to A. The range of the metronome is, the slowest it'll go is 20, and the fastest it goes is 600 beats a minute. It is possible to have tempo A is faster and tempo B is slower. Then it will just slow down instead of speed up. You can see the numbers getting smaller and it's slowing down. If you ever want to switch tempo A and B, swap their values, there's the button on the bottom called the swap button. You press that and it changes them, swaps them back and forth. If you want the tempos to automatically swap when you reach the end, you turn on auto swap. That's that switch right there. That's the auto swap switch. As soon as it reaches 90, they'll switch. Now 90 is over here, and it is speeding up from 90 to tempo B. I'm just going to slow down tempo B to not quite so extreme, 300, and they automatically switch. That's really good if you have a tempo range of a certain thing that you're doing you want to practice not too slow but just medium and fast, and all just certain range back and forth. Another thing, I'll just turn off the auto swap. That's off. Another big feature of Accelerando Metronomo is the wave mode button. When you turn wave mode on, that's the curvy line, the button with the curvy line. What happens is it will go faster by a certain number of beats per minute, like maybe 30. And you can change that setting elsewhere. We'll talk about that later. It'll speed up by 30 beats a minute. Like from 90, it'll go up to 120, and then it'll slow down by half that much. So 15, 120 minus 15 is 105. So it will then slow down to 105. Speed up by another 30 again to 145 or 135. And then slow down by 15, which brings it down to 120. So it gradually gets faster, but it also slows down a bit each time to give you a break and sort of regain the composure of your technique before pushing the limit a little more and more and more. It's good to have a sort of a moderate slope setting when you do that, and it could be like you don't even notice that the tempo is changing, but by the end of it you've gotten quite a bit faster. This is what it looks like when this happens. As you can see right here, it says wave mode, plus 30 minus 15. It'll go from 90. I'm going to increase the slope so this tutorial won't take so long. So that's going to speed all the way up to 120. And then now it's slowing down by 15 all the way down to 105. Now it's speeding up again. It'll go all the way up to 135. And then it will slow down, etc. It'll keep doing that. That's called wave mode, and that's that switch right there with the curvy line. That can be used in combination with auto swap if you want, and then it'll do like on the way back, when it flips it'll be like minus 30 plus 15. As wave mode is happening, it has a little countdown that says like a countdown to each time it changes direction, which you can see on the screen. It's hard to see on the tutorial video. There it is. Options, lots of adjustable options for Accelerando Metronomo. Just press play here, and we'll go to the options, which are in the upper right corner, the little gear icon. Brings up your options. At the top, we got a sound. I'm going to change the sound. Could be beeps, claves, shakers, cowbells. Notice how there's two sounds, high and low. Hi-hats, kick snare, kick snare number 2, kick snare 3. When it reaches the end of the when it reaches tempo B, I'll just make that go to tempo B real quick here. When it reaches tempo B, you hear the applause. You can turn off the applause if you want in your options. Applause off. Just press the minus button a few times, change the current tempo. I'm going to wait for it to go to the end. There it went to tempo B. It says reached end tempo, but no applause. So you can turn that off if you don't like that. Right there, I'm just turning that back on. I'll go to rhythm. There's a lot of rhythms to choose from, or a few different ones anyway. Right now it's on a 2-beat rhythm called XO. You can change that to just 1 beat, X. Or O. X is the kick, O is the snare. There's 3-beat. Kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare. Kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, 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 snare. There's a 5-beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or however you want to count that. Those are available. You can change the appearance. There's 3 different color schemes. Red and blue. Might as well stop that for a second. Got sort of a greenish blue. And purple, red, green. I will probably make some more of those different colors eventually. I'll press this going again. In the first part of the tutorial, I accidentally had the LED light turned off. Right now it's turned on. Oh, and by the way, I noticed that the video looks weird, like the light is not at the same time as the sound, but it actually is on the metronome. Okay, it's just like the video is kind of weird. The sound is not lined up. Now you can turn off that LED. You go to the options, LED. You can turn that off or on. So now I just turn it off. Now it's gone. It's kind of nice to have it turned on, I think, and you can see it and you watch it and it helps you keep time better. If you don't like it, you could turn that off. Here's another. Sorry about the angle of the light. It's a tough time getting it right. So you can change the tempo range. The tempo range of the metronome goes from 20 all the way up to 600, and that goes for tempo A and B. Tempo A could be 600 and tempo B could be 20, or anywhere between. Then you can change how wide that is. Let's say that when you practice, you never go up to 600. You only go up to 200. Well, you can change that. You can change it, because this seems like a waste of a slider. You know, you only want to go to 200 and you got all this width of slider that doesn't ever get used if you don't use it. You can change tempo range to narrow, which goes from 40 to 200. Now these sliders and the tap will only go as far as 200 and as low as 40. Okay, so now you can bring that all the way to the side and it will only go to 200. If you like that better, you can do that. Or you can change that to instead of narrow 40 to 200, you can change it to medium, which is 30 to 400. Now you pull this over to the side and it'll go all the way to 400. I keep mine at wide. I like to go, sometimes I go all the way to 600, or well, pretty high anyway. So I'll just change it like that. Earlier described was wave mode. If you turn wave mode on, it increases the tempo by a certain amount and then gradually decreases by half that amount, and it gradually climbs and then backtracks and climbs and backtracks. You can change how much that backtrack is. It's called wave mode width. So currently it's set at 30 forward and 15 back. You can change that to 20 forward and 10 back, or 10 forward and 5 back, in which case it would go from 60 gradually up to 70, down to 65, up to 60 or 75, down to 70, up to 80, down to 75, etc. You can just kind of experiment with that and see whatever works best for you. Next setting is called tempo input resolution. I'm going to just set it to 1 BPM. That means that whatever tempo I slide in there or tap, it'll be exact to 1 beats per minute. So I made that one 311 and I made the other one 402. 416. If I change tempo input resolution to 5 beats per minute, it'll automatically round to the nearest 5 BPM. Kind of like they just got rid of the penny a few weeks ago. Now they only give change in nickels, which is kind of better. You can change the tempo input resolution to 10, and that will make it always round to the nearest 10 beats per minute, which is just easier on the eyes. I think it's less of a scramble for the brain. That tempo input resolution stuff does not affect the current tempo. The current tempo always goes at 1 beats per minute intervals gradually. So that is not affected by the tempo input resolution. It only affects these two things. One last setting to look at: slope range. Right now it's set to extreme. The other setting is moderate, so I'll set it to extreme. now we can see that going from 20 to 600 could be achieved as quickly as 1 minute and 46 seconds, or it could happen as slowly as 1,541 minutes. Yeah, that's a really long time. So that's really extreme. And of course, anywhere in between there too. Now, if you don't want it to be that extreme, then you can set it to moderate, and then it's easier to find, get the exact setting that you want with the slider, because then it only goes as quickly as 17 minutes between those two tempos, or as slowly as 256 minutes, which is still a lot of leeway. Notice that that A to B setting, or indication, also changes according to, like, if you're not going as far between your tempos, less difference, that number also changes. Also in the options menu is the help button, and that just explains everything, hopefully. Alright, so it's Accelerando Metronomo. It's been really helpful for practicing. That's why I made it, was because I just really thought there should be one, and I couldn't find one. I made one for the PC originally, which is available still. And this one has helped a lot with my practicing, and it has also helped with teaching guitar too. Alright, thanks. And actually, you might even want to make music with accelerating metronome. You know, have your music speed up and slow down. Could be a fun thing to do.